Great. Good afternoon, teachers. I'm really excited to kind of jump right into today's little mini lesson in strategy. The strategy that we're focusing on today is subtraction with the standard algorithm using this new method called the magnifying glass. Today, just as an overview, I'm going to kind of model how I would teach the magnifying glass method with the subtraction algorithm. I'm going to give you a chance to kind of think through it for your class and how you would teach it, kind of work through a couple problems on your own, and then we're going to actually get a chance to practice teaching it with a colleague and giving each other feedback on your implementation of the strategy. Any questions before we begin? Great, let's jump right into it. So if you look on your guided notes, the first question is on there, but I do want you to watch the board and kind of look to see how I'm showing the magnifying glass method. So we're starting off with 31 minus 18. We usually ask the students to say this out loud and think about what we're given. Are we given parts, wholes? Mr. Davian, what is a whole? 31, exactly. And what is the part that we know, Ms. Naomi? 18, exactly. So then what do we need to solve for, Ms. Brittany? Exactly, we need to solve for the missing part. So when we see subtraction with the standard algorithm, we are first going to set up our place value chart. So in this case, I have ones and tens, so I'm going to set up my ones and my tens. Now in your classroom, you can use chips or you can use dots. For today's purpose, I'm going to be using dots. So whenever I'm showing the 31, I'm going to make sure to show that with my dots. So how many ones do I have, Mr. Davian? 1, 1. Good. I'm going to draw one dot to represent the 1, 1. And how many tens do I have in 31, Miss Naomi? 3 tens. Good. 1, 2, and 3. Now that I've set up my place value chart, I now need to set up my subtraction vertically using the standard algorithm. So carefully setting it up to make sure that our ones are lined up and that our tens are lined up right next to our place value chart. Let's start by looking at the smallest place value here. And this is kind of where you are all at in your teaching, and students are able to set this up. So the strategy that we're focusing on today is the magnifying glass. And when we do this, we kind of want students to pretend to be detectives and really focus in on that whole, on that first number and their subtraction algorithm. So we want them to draw this imaginary magnifying glass around the 31, just like this, so that they're really zooming in and then kind of deciding whether or not they need to unbundle any of the ones or the tens in the number to solve the subtraction. So I drew my magnifying glass around the 31, and now we can start by looking at the ones place value. Miss Naomi, can I take 8 ones away from 1, 1? No, so what do I need to do? Exactly, I need to decompose a 10. So I'm first going to show it in my place value chart. When I decompose a 10, this is where I usually ask my students, because this is where a huge misconception with the conceptual understanding of this, using this subtraction algorithm comes into play. I usually ask them, okay, if I'm taking 1 10 away, how many ones are equal to 1 10? How many ones are equal to 1 10, Mr. Davian? 10 ones. Good. So I'm going to take 1 10 away, and I'm going to draw an arrow to show my students that 10 ones is equal to that 1 10 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Next step is to make sure that now we're going back to our magnifying glass and we're making sure that once we decompose that 10, that our ones and tens values now match up with our place value chart. So Miss Naomi, what does my 1 need to turn into? Good. I now have 11 ones. So my 1, cross it out, and it turns into an 11. Let me zoom in so you can see. And my tens, now I took a 10 away, so my 3 actually becomes a 2. Great. Now that this is ready, I'm ready to subtract. Going in my ones, 11 minus 8 is 3. And 2 minus 1 show that I'm actually, go back to my place value chart, it's really important to make sure you're going back to that conceptual understanding at the beginning with the place value chart. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show that 11. I have my 11, and if I take away 8 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I actually have that 3 left over. Now I go to my tens. I have 2. I'm taking away 1. Show that process so that students are understanding the decomposition a little bit better with the place value chart. And I find my final answer of 13. So that was a lot of information, but I really want to focus in on the new strategy, which is this magnifying glass. And in a second, I'm going to ask you to do a turn and talk with your partner, but I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about this. What makes the magnifying glass a useful strategy for students when learning the subtraction algorithm? Think. What makes this magnifying glass a useful strategy or a useful trick when teaching students the subtraction algorithm? You have 1 minute to turn and talk with your partner. Turn, talk, go. Bring it back. Great, thanks Ms. Naomi for the side of hand. Great, so Mr. Dadian, I heard your conversation with Ms. Brittany, and I wanted you to share out because I really thought what you said was very insightful. So what makes the magnifying glass such a useful strategy? Yes, exactly. It prevents the common error of switching that top and the bottom digit when the digit on top is too small. So a lot of students will be able to get to the point of setting it up vertically, but there's always the common error that students will subtract right away 8 minus 1 and say it's 7. So by making them draw the magnifying glass and focus in on this 31, they're constantly asking themselves, do I need to do anything to my ones place to unbundle it before I can subtract? And in this case, the answer would have been yes. So they're asking themselves, I need to actually decompose my tens value before I can subtract in my ones value. Any questions about the magnifying glass, its purpose, why it's important before we move on into trying a couple problems on our own? Great. So when you're working through the next 2 problems, everybody flipping your guided notes to the next page. You should be at these 2 problems. I've already set up the place value chart for you. I want you to think through the steps that I took to teaching the magnifying glass and why it's important. And I want you to think through how you would teach this to your kids. I'm going to give you 5 minutes of planning time to work through these 2 problems. And I want you to pick one that you're going to actually teach to your colleague for feedback. So 5 minutes of planning time working through this. I want you to pick one that you'll actually, you can script it out if you need to. Otherwise, that you would teach to your colleagues so that we can give feedback. Okay, 5 minutes starting now. Starting my timer. Go.